When we look back 2,000 years ago to the ancient Near East during the time of Jesus, we find a wide variety of worldviews. That is to say, different ways of thinking, different ways of viewing the world. During that time period, Rome had pretty much conquered the known world with political force, setting up a time when Caesar ruled. People were living under Roman laws. However, Greek thinking also permeated the culture. Wicked smart guys like Socrates and Plato and Aristotle influenced the way that the average person thought about life. Their ideas would filter into the arts and public square, and then into people's everyday lives. Today's top thinkers, who tend to be professors and scientists, pass down their beliefs through the arts as well, like through movies, books, and music, and from there filtering down to the coffee house and into homes around the coffee tables. Now add the Jewish people to the Roman and Greek landscape. The Jews had their way of viewing the world too. The Pharisees and other Jewish groups had a profound influence on how the people thought. Like the common cold, most people catch their way of thinking from their family, their education, and through the people that they hang out with. But as Christians, we must always remember that our way of thinking, our worldview, needs to be chosen deliberately after a careful consideration of which ways of thinking are actually true and right. New York City, the cultural capital of the United States. This is the birthplace of a lot of music and art. Jazz in the 1940s, one of my favorites, and then indie rock in the 2000s. Did you know that New York City has over 500 art galleries and over 2,000 cultural organizations? It really is the result of being shaped by centuries of immigration. And it's often called the melting pot because of all the variety of philosophies and ideas and concepts and religions that are floating around. It's known as an international city. I went on a trip a few years ago with some teenagers out to New York City, and at one point we saw some protesters down by the road. So I went down to the street level and I found out that these women were protesting. They did not want to shave anymore, and they all had armpit hair. And it's crazy ideas. And we live in a country that is represented there in New York City. And you could stand in the middle of New York City and you could think, wow, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to believe. And it reminds me of Colossians chapter 2, verse 8. And it says this: "See to it that no one takes you captive by philosophy and empty deceit, according to human tradition, according to the elemental spirits of the world, and not according to Christ." So today, what kind of philosophies are we talking about here? Well, first I'm thinking about worldviews. You know, the way that you view the world and the way that you think that the world operates. This can include like schools of thought, like things you might study. Say, for instance, science or mathematics or astrology or astronomy. Could also include values, you know, things that you see as important. What do you think of as important? Well, in America, freedom is certainly important, and democracy. In fact, consumerism in America is a value. We consume everything. Choice is a value. We can go to Walmart and find 50 different brands of tennis shoes. That's another value that we live with. But you know what? Other values like going green, that movement, and entertainment. We're inundated with entertainment. That's another value. So philosophies can be worldviews, it can be values, it can also be traditions. You know, and there's different kinds of traditions. There's family traditions, like going to Grandma's house for Thanksgiving for her famous apple pie. Or there's religious traditions, the things that you do week to week, going to church, to feel close to God. And sometimes they do help you feel close to God. And other times, they may just feel like rules to you. There's also national traditions. Like in America, we have a tradition on the 4th of July of basically buying fireworks and getting a lighter and shooting fireworks at each other. That's one of our national traditions. The point is this. It's not that these traditions or these values are necessarily wrong. The problem is that we don't often critique them based on what Jesus says. We don't recognize when they are in conflict with what Jesus teaches and who He is. That's what the problem is. We need to take these different philosophies and ideas and measure them against Jesus, who's the standard of truth. Colossians 1 reminded us that Jesus is God and that He is supreme over all things. In fact, He died for you and rose again, breaking the power that these philosophies and ideas can have over us. He demonstrated new life, and He has given it to us. So when you feel lost, or you're not sure what to do or what to believe, just go to Christ. Go to Jesus, and the Bible tells us about Him, and He will help show you what is true, what is right. And just as Colossians 2 said, that's how you're going to see to it that you're not taken captive by these different ideas and philosophies.